Hi there, Libra. Welcome to your end of April 2025 General Tarot Update. It's Raina here. Here's your card. Wow, these major arcana cards. Wow, what a nice bunch of cards here. Very interesting. Because let's see, what's today's date? Yeah, just a few days ago we had a full moon in your sign, so you may have had something happen. Did you have something happen that is related to legal matters, even though the seventh house that you rule, that was Aries opposing you from the first. So there might have been something. The heart of the matter is the Temperance card, which connects with Sagittarius. So this may be dealing with somebody who happens to be a Sag. But in terms of your own type of behavior, you may be, in some cases, focusing on one aspect of life to the exclusion of the other. And maybe you're seeing the result of that. So typically, what I would think for Libra is the worldly perspective, which is also sold to us as the intellectual. The Libra, the air signs are very much into their intellect, and they tend to be very intelligent people. But the thing is that the mind, it can be a cruel mistress, right? Because our thoughts are not necessarily productive. They don't lead us anywhere, and they can be illusory. They can actually mislead us into thinking things that aren't true and doing things that are not constructive. So the Temperance card is about as above, so below, that you're kind of integrating the spiritual and the material. But also, it could simply be that there's a Sagittarian that you're dealing with in some form. In the past position, we have the Justice card. In this particular deck, they have it as 8, which is a Strength card. The Strength and the Justice cards are sometimes the opposite numbers. This is 8 in this deck. And it's, I feel like, because we also have the Emperor, I feel like some of you may be dealing with some sort of legal matter. And maybe with the Temperance card, you need to see both sides of it. For instance, I always say with the, like somebody who's getting divorced, and that movie, The War of the Roses, that was supposed to be so funny, but when I remember I watched it, and I was horrified because I thought to myself, oh my God, there are people like this. There are people who, they get married, and then when they get divorced, they tear each other apart just because of materialism. So I feel like the Justice card is about, for some people, a legal matter, but it's like, how are you going to approach it? Are you going to just, look at it as, you stand to receive certain things, or are you also looking at the bigger picture? And just the issue of fairness too, or balance. That's another thing about Libra, is the ability to be balanced in life, which means that you're not just focusing on one thing. Even somebody who's a Libra person who says, oh no, I'm on the spiritual path. If you're too up in the upper chakras, you might be quite impractical in your day-to-day life, and kind of ungrounded. So it's not about just being spiritual when you're in the material world. So it's really about being able to travel in both worlds at the same time. And there may be some reason why this is particularly significant for you right now. Maybe you're going through a phase that like a transition, and because you've had these eclipses in your sign and in your opposite sign of Aries, you just had one in April. And so you might be feeling like things are changing either in your work life, your personal life, maybe in both in some cases. But I think human beings tend to focus on one particular thing versus the other instead of seeing that you have to integrate things. The higher message is the Three of Wands. This is really about branching out. It's funny that they have branches, branching out and expanding your territory. Um, you may feel like a strong urge to do something along these lines. Actually, Jupiter is in your still in your ninth house, which can be long distance travel, and I think that could even apply with that particular card. But what it's saying is really that whatever has been your life might feel too confining, and you have to go and do something much more expansive because you're no longer satisfied with that type of existence. Maybe things are just getting too claustrophobic. But also, this is about creativity too. This isn't just about your living space. What crosses you is the Emperor, which is a card connected to Aries. So, yeah, but the Emperor can also be any kind of judge or somebody that's in a position of authority. If it's someone, sometimes this can be a father or a father figure, and this person will tend to be like very authoritarian. Sometimes they actually have the type of job that's like the cop or the military man. And for instance, if you were raised by such a person, it can be very easy. I could totally see a Libra person being like disgusted by being raised by a man in the military who's like a sergeant in the military, because you might be anti-war, you might be somebody who believes in treating people with respect and just kind of like in a very very polite way, and you had a father who was very like toxic masculinity or something like that, but that authoritarian tendency. I was reflecting on a relationship I had with a Libra man, a platonic relationship. And I remember how, it's so funny about Libra people because they tend to be very gracious and they seem to be very cooperative. But I always notice that more times than not, he got his way as a cardinal sign, running the show. So this is one of those things where I think you're clashing with someone. And maybe, it's funny, like the temperance, when I think of the temperance card, I think about the temperance movement. I think about, maybe somebody who has an addiction, who needs to get sober. And this may be for some of you like repeating history. If you're with someone like that, and there might be a few of you who are struggling with this too. But regardless, this could be something that you saw your father doing, and you're like, history is repeating itself. But this is a person that is incapable of seeing situations except from a binary perspective, from a black and white perspective. And that can be maddening to a Libra person. And so somehow this person is fitting into the situation. Um, It might be that you're hoping you can reason with them, and it's really like, good luck with that. If this is your partner, for instance, you might be like, but I try to, go along with the program and it never seems to be good enough. And that's because that person, they derive their sense of self from being or they need to be in control. And that's the thing. And they could be a narcissist, too. So it's gonna be probably a lost cause in a lot of cases. What's coming in is the Ace of Pentacles. This can be a new job or new beginnings that I mean, if you're working for yourself and you start a business. Yeah, and I was going to say too with the Emperor, anybody who's like if you're working for this person and maybe you feel as though this person is incapable of giving you fairness. And Justice card could be you're seeking this sense of being like maybe you're in a workplace where that somebody else is being favored and you're being treated unfairly. There's nothing that drives a Libra person crazier than injustice on against you, but also against other people. So if you've been dealing with this situation, you may be looking for new work. And I feel also like the Three of Wands is emphasizing this as a spiritual message. It's time to grow. Maybe you've been kind of just spinning your wheels and tolerating a situation that you shouldn't be tolerating because it was just familiar and things like that. The outcome is the Ten of Cups, happily ever after. This is a very good card. The Nine of Cups is wish fulfillment, and the Ten of Cups, because 10 is the end of the cycle, means that something is resolved that is going in your favor. So this is actually a marriage card as well as a card of family harmony. So, it might even be Ace of Pentacles. Wow, I didn't even think about this. There could be an inheritance issue. I'm trying to think. Yeah. And you may see that movement astrologically in the last week of the month because we have a new moon in Taurus, and it's going to be in that 8th house of shared finances, and that can include inheritances. So Ace of Pentacles can be a windfall of money, and that benefits, and the family is not torn apart, it's actually brought together. So, if you've been freaked out about the judge or the fairness of the situation, I think all's well that ends well, if that's true for you. And any kind of situation, that's a very positive card, Ten of Cups. Yeah, so that's what I have for you, Libra. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, I do primarily astrological readings. I have a package deal called my deep dive reading, which are full-length readings, at least an hour each, natal chart interpretation, transits for the next 12 months for a special price. And I have, if you like the tarot as well, I have a three full-length reading package called The Whole Enchilada. I have love readings and career readings. You can find out more information at the link below. Thanks for watching. Bye.